Hello viewers, welcome back. If you have seen my last week's video, I talked about a company called Dell, and you should have seen this week's momentum. It actually gone up. The stock price has gone up 35%, close to 35% compared to previous week. It so happened that if you're monitoring as an investor, if you're monitoring the news and articles and other things, you probably would have not seen this coming. But if you stick to the technicals would have told you a story. Here's an example of it. I've been monitoring this Dell stock for past few months, and volume was my key indicator. And I've been seeing this volume spike on and off. That actually tells out gives me a story that something is going on with this stock. There is some positive momentum going on. Investors are liking this stock, they're buying it. That's how I could stick to this particular stock. And that's a key point in evaluating or analyzing a stock, making sure you stick to these key indicators. Technicals are some of the analysis mechanism which you can use on a day-to-day basis. And sometimes rather than depending on the rumors and news and other articles online, there's so much content and online. Depending on technicals will help you to read the story very well compared to what the social media is talking about. And in this it just so happened that in this particular context, in this company, I've been monitoring it for past few months. I've seen the volume trends spikes and the price movement, and I was able to capitalize it, or I was able to onboard to this particular company bit early than people would have just joined after hearing the earnings call. So that's kind of the story. Long story short, always look at the key indicators. Key indicators, if you go deeper analysis, it will tell you a story about the stock. Look at the RSI, volume, and the moving averages. These are the core key indicators which will tell you a story. In this particular case, volume was my indicator, which gave me a context like where this particular stock is trending. Yeah, if you have seen my videos, check it out. Go back and check it out. My last week video about this company Dell. I've seen a lot of positive momentum in this particular stock, and it has actually appreciated very well this week. So keep watching. The next stock we're going to talk about is about semiconductor ETF. I heard our viewers asking for what's the alternate for in the semiconductor space, especially the way the Nvidia is growing, Nvidia supercomputer, super microcomputers, Intel, Applied Material. There's so many semiconductor companies. They've been performing really well in this current market, and some of the investors who have missed the opportunity here, they're kind of lost in this space. And I heard feedback or kind of comments from the viewers saying, okay, what are our alternatives here? So that's when I kind of digged into it. ETFs is another space to look at it. ETFs are generally kind of a holding company. They have shares invested in major semiconductor companies, and their price range is also kind of affordable range. I picked up a couple of ETFs for today's discussion. One of them is the iShare Semiconductor ETF. This is one of the hot one, and their top holdings are pretty much the same every ETF has right now. Their holdings are, they have around 9% in AMD, 9.7% in the Nvidia. Then they have Applied Material, a percentage of allocation of their funds have been invested in Qualcomm, Qualcomm, Micron. There are a bunch of other semiconductor companies they have been holding. They're kind of around top 10 of them have been really performing well. And you could see that same type of investment or same type of holdings on other ETFs too. We're going to talk about other ETFs on in this session. So, but let's start off with the iShare Semiconductor investing rule. First thing I look at it is what is the life cycle, which stage it is in. Okay, and there was a stagnation period. This is kind of the growth phase or accelerating phase, we call it as, in the life cycle. Then we have a stagnation period. Then gradually there was decline from 20 2022 Jan onwards. There was a good pullback, kind of decline till Jan 2023. Then it went into base. Base is kind of in and out of the 200 days moving average. I could see till here. I consider it as a base because it has not fully came out of the 200 days moving average. And then after that, I think since the October 2023 onwards, there was a extreme growth. You could see that the price movement is very well appreciated here. At the same time, that's kind of the life cycle. The other one is look at the stocks traded here, and I think the average, if you look at it, there have been the peak was at this stage where 13 million shares were traded, and then if I put an average here, you traded, and there was a good spike on a regular basis, which actually kept this particular stock active because off late they have been performing very well because of some of these big time semiconductor companies have been doing really well in the stock market. So their prices have gone up at least 4 or 5 times than what we have seen a year back. So that's a good positive about some of these semiconductor I see, or maybe close to 4 or 5 million is the average I see. You can see that's kind of the cup model, and there was a nice handle, and after that there was a spike. This is kind of a classic cup and handle pattern. You can see that very well, and the time period is also between Jan 2022. The base was October 2022 till July 2023. There was a good cup formation, close to a year and a half. Then after that, it took its own time to form that handle, and then there was a spike. So this is a really good cup and handle model. Off late, it's been performing really well. You can see that the prices was always above the 200 days moving average, and you can see on a gradual basis they've been hitting that 20 days moving average. That's a gradual nice pullback, tight pullback, and I consider 20 days moving average is the point by a smaller batches. That's kind of the buy strategy I use, especially for these stocks. It has huge potentials. Definitely, it is going to grow. You can see that with the other semiconductor companies, they've been performing really well, and these ETFs were also performing well. So, on board into this particular stock, consider waiting for till it hits that 20 days moving average. When it hits the 20 days moving average, buy a smaller batches. That's kind of the upper ceiling of these stocks. So we, especially for the semiconductor stocks, for ETFs, it's going to follow the same trend what the semiconductor actual stocks are doing. So it has the price range is very good for this particular stock. It's affordable. Some of these stocks, applied material, you could see that it has formed a really good cup pattern here and handle, a decent size handle, and then there's a spike. So a classic cup and handle pattern. I really love this pattern, and especially these patterns are very well works in the bullish or when you have a positive sentiment in the market. So this is another company to look at it. The price range seems to be affordable, not like the crazy Nvidia or other stocks. Switching to the another interesting stock is the Intel. Again, Intel has been struggling off late, but with the new management change, they're kind of doing okay. If I look at switching between weekly to daily, again, there was a steep decline here. The previous high was 73 something. Then they went down, stayed in the base for a very long time. They came out somewhere in the 2018, and then there was basically a kind of churn on the sideways. And then there was a steep downfall due to other companies. The competitors were doing really well compared to Intel. So you could see that there was a steep downfall. They couldn't match up with the competition. Their products were not up to date. So they had to take this hit. They went down drastically. And then after that, they're slowly picking up. various factors involved here. One was the management change, the strategy changed, and they have investments outside too. So those are all coming together right now. But it's still early for Intel to say that it is in the right direction. We have to wait how the bullish trend started happening in the semiconductor space. Could see that there's a good steep growth, and then there was a churn, fell down, crossed the 50 days, and there's an interesting pattern getting formed here, kind of double bottom. If you're familiar with this pattern, just check it out online. Interesting pattern, but take a look at it. Maybe some of these things drives um, the momentum too. So watch out for this stock. This is another stock which is also part of the same ETF holding. The next stock in the ETF, most of the ETFs have this stock in their holdings. Majority of them have a bigger investment in this space, in this particular company. So this has been considered as one of the competitor for Nvidia. You could see pretty much the same growth. Off late, it has been doing very well. You can see a really good cup pattern here. You see a cup pattern here again, a good handle, and then after that a spike. So this is a classic cup and handle pattern. When the especially with this kind of cup and handle patterns, when the momentum is positive in the market, you could see some of these patterns work very effectively. So again, you have a cup, then there's a handle, and then a spike. Classic one. Looking into this stock, there are other ETFs in the market too, stock market too. One of them is the S&P Semiconductor ETF. The code stock symbol or the ticker is XSD. This is another one which again it's in the same price range. You could see there is I have a daily chart here. If I switch to a weekly chart, similar pattern, similar price range, no big difference between these ETFs. So that's a good part. Most of the ETFs, because they have the same set of holdings, same companies they've invested in, their price movement is also more predictable. You could probably compare each and every ETFs in the semiconductor space or in any sector. Majority of the investment for these ETFs have been in the leaders space. Some of the leaders in the semiconductors are very known, like Nvidia, AMD, Intel, supercomputer, microcomputer. Not many of them have invested yet in that super microcomputer yet. I'm expecting more investments coming in off late, because the off late it has performed really well. The price movement has been very very well appreciated there. So you could see some of the funds moving into that company too. But if you look at this particular ETF, again, a similar pattern, you could see a good cup and handle has shown a really good cup and handle cup pattern here. There was a good steep downfall, touches 200 days moving average, and then the growth was upward trend. So that's a good sign for any company or any ETFs. They've been doing well off late, and I think the October was the breaking point for most of the stocks in the market. October 2023, that's when the actual bullish signal has triggered some of these stocks to go up, and semiconductors have been doing very well since October. If you have invested in some of these major players, you would have earned at least 3 4 times what they have been doing 2 to 3 years past. So looking at this growth, this ETF has also been performing well. It is a slow growth compared to the SOXX, which is the semiconductor for from iShare. This stock again in the same price range, you could see the movement has been very well. There is a sideways churn because I'm in the weekly chart. So if I switch back to daily chart, you could see that churn clearly. You can see if I put the line resistance support line here, this is what I would consider this as a resistance and support line. The price has been churning in this space for some time. Now, after the 229 breakout, the price actually appreciated well. So watch out for that. If you have this resistance and support line, these two are a key indicators for you. Anything falls below the support line, consider that you have to wait and see how things move. I'm expecting some level of churn touching somewhere in the 50, going back and then picking up, momentum picking up, because currently it's in the it's in a decent state. I won't say it is a over bought state. It is in intermediate state. I'm expecting this RSI to move downwards, looking at somewhere around 50, 48, 50 reference level, and then picking up slowly. So that's what I see the trend here. Again, if you look at it, there's a good decent size cup and handle pattern here. This has been doing more predictable patterns here. I could see if I draw a cup and handle on a daily chart since July 2023 onwards, you could see a really good cup pattern here, similar model, and then it went in sideways churn. Then it recently broke out from the resistance and the price is moving up. So this is a point to buy. There's one more ETF I want to cover in this. There's the VanEck Semiconductor ETF. You could see a good cup and handle, and then after that, a spikes. Again, the momentum started from October onwards. Again, the same price movement. So, good level of handle, then after that, a spike. If you look at this particular stock, again, going back into the referring back to my investing rules, the first thing which I look at it is the life cycle. Again, it has a good growth accelerating phase. Let me draw that. You'll see it has touched, pull back, and this has actually did very well, performed very well since 2020 July onwards till November 2021. Then went into a sideways movement. Then a good decline phase, touches 200 days moving average, and then spiked up. And this is a really good growth, a price momentum standpoint. From the volume side, if I look at the volume, again, there's a steady growth. You could see a lot of distributions here. And then off late, there are more accumulations happening. So since October, people were buying this stock. You could see more greens compared to reds. Similarly, if you look at the previous trend, 2019 onwards, you could see more reds on and off here and there, some buy points here. But again, it's a decent ETF. There's nothing bad about this, especially the like major 4 or 5 ETFs available for semiconductors. This is considered as one of the best ETF. The price range is also in the same range like the other ETFs, which we have seen, XSD and SOXX. The this particular stock, it's SMH. Most of these ETFs perform the same model. Thanks for watching the video. Please tune in for more videos in the future.